Good morning. Welcome to Wisdom for Your Week. I'm April Williams, and today is Friday with Friends. I am so excited today to have Brandon Newton with me. Thank you for coming on, Brandon.
Glad to. Thank you for inviting me.
All right, so Brandon is a South Carolina representative for District 45, and he won the election in 2016 with over 64% of the vote, and in 2008 with 62.5% majority. So I'm just really impressed with Brandon's numbers. Now, you may be asking, why is she having that Republican on here today, right? But it's not about politics today. We're going to talk about success. And I've been very, very impressed with Brandon's accolades and what he's been able to accomplish. He has a Bachelor of Arts from the University of South Carolina at Lancaster. He has a Master's of Business Administration from Winthrop University. So I'm so excited to have him there. And you were at 22, when you were 22.
That's when I won.
You were the youngest?
Yes, I was the youngest that was elected that year. I'm still the youngest member at 24.
Oh, wow.
Well, not the youngest ever, but I was the youngest at the time. Still am.
Well, that's awesome. And so you began your career at an early age. So what sparked the interest? What inspired you to begin a life of public service so young?
Well, I always loved history, and so history is pretty similar to politics. So growing up, I was a history nerd, and I just started following politics because it was so similar. And probably in 2009, I started going to Republican Party meetings. I was in the 8th and 9th grade, and I just got hooked. I started working for campaigns. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the debate of policy. I enjoyed talking with people, getting to know people. I enjoyed all that part of the politics. And so I always said that one day I would run for office. And I did not anticipate it being my senior year of college. I was figured
Wow.
it would be a couple years later. But a seat came open that I was planning on running for later, and the incumbent decided to retire a couple years earlier than I was anticipating. She encouraged me to run, and so I stuck my neck out there and did it. It was definitely a decision that I was not anticipating doing my senior year of college.
Oh, wow. So because you entered into the political scene so young, you've had criticism for that.
Oh,
in fact,
absolutely.
one of your opponents has said, I'm paraphrasing, but how can you know what Lancaster County needs since you're so young? And we all face criticism. So what would you say to someone, especially if even more magnified if you're on the political or public scene? How do you handle criticism? How do you answer people who are skeptical of your abilities just because you're young?
Well, it's something that I've had to deal with. You're not going to please everyone. One thing that I've just had to accept, and I think it's the hardest thing for anybody to accept about criticism, is you're just not going to make everyone happy. And you have to be confident in your decisions and in your ability to do the job or whatever it is that you're doing. I believe I can do the job. I have the voters are my proofers. So if they agree that I can do the job by voting for me, then that means apparently more than one person agrees. But it is hard. I tell people all the time, when you're in the public eye and you're criticized, which happens all the time, which is deservedly so. I'm in politics, people should criticize if they disagree with me. But when people use the age thing, I just let it go. I just let it roll off. You can't allow it to dictate your happiness. And a lot of people, criticism, they let it dictate how they live their lives, how they respond to stuff, and they don't think too often of, if you can do it, and you have that personal belief in yourself, and your belief, for me personally, in my faith, that if I can do all things through Him, it doesn't matter what my age is.
Yeah.
And so because of that, it's allowed me to kind of stand out in front of this criticism and take it, because like I said, it's not easy, but I grew up in this town. My parents grew up in this town. My mom owns a small business in this town. I love this place. And I think that anyone, no matter their age, if they've lived here long enough, will know exactly what this town needs.
So I think that's very interesting, too. I've gleaned two important parts about criticism. You don't even answer people, as far as the criticism about your age. And that's true so many times. There are times when you just don't even need to answer it. You let your accomplishments speak for themselves, and so that shows a lot of confidence, which is so important. So sometimes we just don't even need to answer what the criticism that people give us. So that's such an important aspect. So what success tips will you offer? And one thing that you mentioned, and I've always been really impressed with you, and I've asked you, you've come to our church before for our launch of Beyond Church. You're very involved with the community. You love this community. You're very engaged. So do you have any success tips for people in this community? You've been very successful very early. Can you think of things that have helped to propel you forward in your career?
Yeah, so one is the most important thing I think for anyone to do is dedication. If you decide something you want to do, you need to be able to devote yourself to it wholeheartedly, and you need to put the time and effort it takes. I got my master's degree after winning the election. So I was serving in Columbia, working my part-time job at USCL, getting married to my now wife.
And she's really pretty.
Yeah,
he has a beautiful wife.
Yes, absolutely. Way out of my league. The saying we use in Columbia is I outkicked my coverage with my wife Allison. But we do all that, and then trying to go to school. I was, of course, as you had I was like being dedicated. I knew it was what I wanted to achieve. I was on the sacrifice to make that happen. Number two, I would say, working with other people. Every aspect, everything you do in life with other people. Even in our technology, we can all live on our phone. You still are to communicate with people and be around people. You're not everyone happy, but you need to be able to work in a respectful manner with everyone. And I've really tried to do that. In politics, things get very nasty sometimes, and that can become difficult.
They do. Politics is a nasty business, I'm telling you.
And sadly, it seems to be getting worse. I think a lot of it is that we don't talk to each other anymore, and that's one reason why I think communicate people is a very key to success in anything. And then lastly, you trying to put it in a scenic way. You have to be able to see your goal and see your path. I love the saying, if you have something you want to do without a plan, it's a wish. If you have something you want to do with a plan, it's a goal.
Okay, that's good.
And so you need to have a plan of how you're going to get there. I wanted to run for office one day, so I had to set a plan of I was going to be a county party, I was going to be a local chairman, which I ended up doing. I would be involved in as many community organizations as I could on the front end, so I could know people. And plus, people would know me and know that I had the maturity and the ability in their eyes to do it, because the most powerful tool I had when I was running was not me. It was the people who were adults, who were successful in town, who were willing to go to their friends and family and go, I trust him. I believe in him. He can do it his age. That was worth more than any nice mail piece I could send out with my face on it, or robocall or phone call that I can make. That was more powerful. And so you need to have a plan of how to get there. And if you sit down one day and you think, okay, I want to get this job, I want to get the promotion, I want to get to this part with my family, have a plan of how you're going to do it. Set out steps, set out goals to get to that goal, so you train yourself. Don't sit there and think you're going to make a goal that's going to take 10 years to get it, because you're going to get tired, you're going to have rough days, we all do. Set out many goals to get you to that point, so you can have accomplishments along your way.
All right, so that is wonderful. So he has 3 bullet points to propel you towards success. Number 1 was dedication. You have to be dedicated, and even if you have a lot going on, you can do it. If you dedicate yourself to a task, you can do it. And number 2, key connections. You have to engage with people. You have to be willing to talk to people, because relationships are key to success.
Absolutely.
Whoever said it's lonely at the top, they weren't doing it right.
No, they weren't.
So you have to have key connections. And number 3, you have to have goals. And I love what Brandon said. If you, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, but if you have something you want to do and you don't make a plan, it's just a wish. But if you make that plan, it becomes a goal. And that is so important. So those are your 3 bullet points. You need dedication, you need key connections, and you need a goal and a plan. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely. I'm glad to. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Brandon. Like and share. 5 people that need to hear what Brandon had to say today. So like and share. Also, I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, and go to that YouTube channel and subscribe to that. You'll really enjoy this episode as well as past episodes. And email me at wisdomforyourweek@gmail.com, wisdomforyourweek@gmail.com. Next week, I'm doing a Tell It Tuesday. Send me your questions. I would love to hear from you. I'm going to answer your questions on air. It's going to be a great episode. And also go to our website, wisdomforbeyond.com. That's wisdomforbeyond.com. We would love for you to visit. It's a dynamic website. It has a lot of great resources that will propel you towards success. Thank you so much, Brandon.
Thank you.
All right, this was Wisdom for Your Week. I'm April Williams, and this was Brandon Newton, and I hope y'all have a great weekend.